So I'd like to introduce John Hetherington. He came all the way here from Calgary to talk to us about artificial intelligence. John has a background of nearly 10 years working with some large firms in technology consulting and working with a number of large companies as well. He's here visiting our area from Calgary, staying on Harstein Island with 2 dogs and a cat and your wife, right? So he's gone from being landlocked to being completely surrounded by water. So in any event, he's going to talk to us about how AI can help us in our practices and how to deal with this technology. So please join me in welcoming John Hetherington.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. I love technology. Most of the time it works amazing, but every now and again it's a bit of a pain in the butt. It doesn't always work, and when it doesn't work, it really frustrates me. However, let's focus on when it works well. And this is when you talk about AI. Because artificial intelligence, when it's used in the right way, you can imagine a world where you start your day looking at your mobile phone, your cell phone, and it's giving you an automatic dashboard of all the key data, the tax, the compliance, the data you need from your business. It's looking at your financial data, your customer data, everything you need right now, personalized for you on your phone. That's when it works well. Thinking about it more, it can come up with recommendations. It can start to do predictions for you. And I'm going to get into how AI makes predictions for your business, your tax recommendations, and your practice. Because when it works really well, it actually listens to your meetings. A bit weird. It's listening to your meetings. It's actually starting to create an action list for you because it can automatically transcribe your meetings, your client interactions, your conversations, create minutes and bullet points so you don't have to write them. And then it creates an action plan assigned to you. So then as a result, it's also giving you recommendations about what you should do because it knows your goals, your targets, your strategic plan. Again, a bit scary, but on the flip side, it's going to make a recommendation such as meet with that client that you actually don't like very much, the person you don't want to meet. So why is that? So what's happened is the AI has seen that that client has actually made some acquisitions. They're starting to merge with other companies. They're getting bigger. You don't like that client, but there's a huge business opportunity. So you can then make decisions with the AI informing you and helping you ultimately grow your revenue and increase your practice and giving you recommendations. So you decide to book a meeting with your CFO to plan this client meeting. You use voice, you say, hey, Siri or your AI, book the meeting. It does it automatically, but you ask for it at 11 a.m. Tuesday, and it says, no, you can't book it then because we've blocked time in your calendar for strategic planning because one of your goals is strategic planning and you haven't got to it yet. So we've already blocked time in your calendar. So that's how AI and artificial intelligence works well. But as we know, technology can be a pain in the butt. It doesn't always work well, and it can be overwhelming. So take a look at this. This is a selection, a small selection, of artificial intelligence tools for tax and small business and practice growth. Can anyone spot Tax GPT at the top there? So if anyone knows Chat GPT, there's a Tax GPT as well, specifically designed for tax recommendations. Has anyone used Tax GPT? Anyone? Okay, one at the back there, awesome. So again, that doesn't surprise me, by the way, folks. There's so many AI applications out there, new software coming out all the time, and there's a day job you need to worry about. But before we get into that, how many of you want to know how to increase your productivity with AI? Okay, few, yeah, good, okay, cool. And then how about increasing your revenue with AI? Okay, good, cool. So I'm going to teach you how to increase your revenue and your productivity, and I'm going to do it with an AI framework called Rapid. Not the Rapid Ride, the one we talked about in Seattle. This is Rapid. I'm going to talk about it in a second. Before we do that, though, I want to take a moment to thank you for making the time to be here. I know some of you have traveled a long way, so I appreciate that. And I also want to thank Kimberly, Suzette, and Monette, and all the organizers. So let's give them a quick round of applause and yourselves for being here. Thank you. And also hello to those online as well. We've got a huge crowd online. I heard there's 130, so we've got a really big turnout with you folks in the room as well. Awesome. Before I jump into this, I have a confession. Because I'm a nerd, I'm a geek, maybe a bit like you folks. I love radio-controlled cars ever since I was a teenage boy. I loved my Tamiya Fox. And then I got into computer programming at a very young age, a Commodore 64, if anyone knows that personal computer. That one has the disk drive, by the way. I didn't have a disk drive, I had the tape. So I always used to go around my friend's house to use the tape for the disk drive. And then after I graduated in electrical engineering, I got my first job, and I was bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, couldn't wait to show off my programming skills. And early 2000, I actually got the opportunity to program my first AI. It was an AI black box, very, very early stage AI, which automatically created sales quotes. It was for a life insurance company. We had a revenue goal, so we said, okay, we'll create a program using some basic AI to automatically produce sales quotes. I couldn't wait to show this to the leadership team. It was working really well. Sales were growing. This is amazing, right? Went to the leadership team and they didn't like it. I was shocked. Why wouldn't they like revenue growth? The goal of the company was customer service. They were the friendly society. So growing revenue was great. Hey, who doesn't like revenue? But the automatic quotes were taking away the human interaction. They were taking away the conversations that the sales reps were having with the clients and the customers. And that didn't work for the company. The company was about customer service, a friendly society. So that was a really important lesson for me. And that's what I want, one of the things I want you to take away with. We're going to come into the whole people element of technology in a minute. But just know that AI is not just about technology. It's about how you lead your people and manage your teams. And we'll come into that in a second. But knowing this helped transform my career and role. And I managed to get a role and I was asked to join Ernst & Young in the UK. So I got to work with bigger Fortune 500 companies. And then from there, managed to achieve one of our life goals. My wife and I always wanted to move to Canada. And EY was looking for people to move over to Canada. And in 2005, we emigrated, which was awesome. Got to work with bigger Canadian firms. And then a few years later, an opportunity with Deloitte came up. So I couldn't pass it up. Got to work with even bigger North American companies into the US, Seattle. It was an amazing experience. But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, I want to do this for myself. I want to interact with clients in a better way. So 2 years later, myself and my wife set up wedeliveryourvision.com. And here we are, 12 years later, helping companies with technology solutions for growing businesses and increasing productivity. But as we know, it's not that easy because, yes, I want to do technology and you probably want to embrace technology, but you don't know where to start. You're also busy running a business. You have client filing to do, tax returns to do, and you're overwhelmed with choice of AI or technology. Where do you start? And that's the real challenge that we're going to work through today. Because as we know, tax is complicated. Am I right? That's what we're here, right? And I'm simplifying it here. You're probably looking at this going, John, that you just don't know the half of it. This is a tax reporting process because self-admittedly, I'm not a tax expert, but I know technology very well. I'm a technology implementation expert, and I've done it for financial processes and tax reporting processes. So what I want to work with you today is how do we apply technology and AI to a tax reporting process as a case study. We'll work through this. I'm going to do this with my RAPID framework, R-A-P-I-D. Again, not the rapid ride. This is the true RAPID framework. And it starts with reason. Why do you need to do something? And this is important because we need to understand this, because if you do AI in the wrong way, that's when it starts to go a bit weird. If you ask AI to eradicate cancer, sure, I'm going to get rid of humans. We have no more cancer. Not a great answer. Taking it one step further. CEO roasts the human workforce and fires them and replaces them with ChatGPT. if you think about it, that means that CEO has bigger problems than just ChatGPT and a bad workforce. If they can use ChatGPT to replace a workforce, there's many more problems they need to figure out. But it's not just small businesses, it's even JP Morgan. Jamie Dimon is saying that he can reduce the work week to, who wants to guess, how many days per week does he think he can reduce the work week to? Well, I heard 2, heard 3. 0, 0, yes. Okay. I mean, at the end of the day, this is Jamie Dimon, right? He's JP Morgan. He's not going to be taking it down too much, but he said 3.5 days. But what he probably means is, I'm going to take down 3.5 days, but then what are you going to do with that extra time? And that's the first important point I want you to take away from this. When we set a goal, a reason, a target, what are you going to do with that? What's the result? So when you save time or save cost, what are you going to do with that cost saving? What are you going to do with that time saving? And that's really, really important, because everyone has targets around revenue, saving time, saving cost, but you've got to do something with it. So to do that, let's understand how AI works, because I appreciate some of you just haven't even thought about AI, and I get it. I understand that. That's common. I see that a lot with my clients. However, what I wanted to do today is make you aware of what is AI. What does that really, really mean? So I'm going to talk about generative AI. This is ChatGPT's. They use it in a very straightforward way, which I'll explain to you. It's not general AI. That's a whole different ballgame. General AI is in the future. It doesn't exist yet. That's real human intuition and leadership and creativity. So generative AI starts with data. You have to have data. The reason you need data is because you're training technology, a program to do something. It spots patterns. Take data, spots patterns, and as a result makes predictions. That is, in a nutshell, what generative AI is. So ChatGPT, generative pre-trained transformer, GPT, generative pre-trained transformer. Generative because it's generating an output. Pre-trained because it's trained on data, internet data. And transformer because it's using those patterns. That's what it really means. That's what it boils down to. And when you think about it like that, it actually makes it simple, and it makes it, okay, how do we apply that to our business and our practices and our working day to day to actually make it better? Because using this, you can actually start, if you use it well, save 2.5 hours a day. And everyone's thinking, okay, yeah, really, are you? You can, but you have to be a full-on leading edge adopter of technology and AI to do that. So what we're going to do today is give you some reasons and give you some ways to use AI, even if just a small incremental way. So coming out of this session, I want you to be saving, maybe it's a few minutes a day, or maybe just awareness of AI. I'm just going to pause there as well. I saw a pop-up. Is there questions coming in from the audience? Are we from the online? Are we good? I'll pause it here as well. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? Because I've talked about AI and what it is. Any other questions so far? Because I often get a lot of questions at this point saying, okay, that makes sense, but what do I do about it, for example? So happy to take questions. Gives me a chance to get some water as well. So. Okay, if you haven't got questions down, that's no problem. Give me a shout, because I'll be down the front later on after the session. You can reach out. This next slide, my business partner actually wanted to put this slide in. You have a copy of this deck in your in the online, and if not, just drop me an email. I'll send you a copy. My business partner wanted to set this in, but I'm actually going to skip over this because it's a bit too high level for me. It's a bit too meh. So what I want to do is, when you're talking about your reason, let's make it real. Here's some actual real results, real life use cases I've created. I'm going to bring them all up for using AI and technology. So the first one, a tax learning metaverse. So this is an immersive environment of learn, not just CPE, but also access to facilitators, custom design courses, Q&A, a 3.5-day work week. That was, again, one of the goals we created for my finance teams, to actually come up with ways to reduce the effort spent on financial reporting per week. They truly wanted that goal, and they truly have achieved it, to allow people to free up their time to go spend gardening or with their family. And just to be clear, not everyone wants a 3.5-day work week. Some people wanted the 40 hours. Some of the more structured, more routine folks, they wanted the 40 hours. So we said, that's fine, go for it. If those who don't, you can have the 3.5 days. The revenue goal, the fewer emails in HR. So we created a chat bot, which actually reduces the number of emails to the HR team because they're using the chat bot on screen to get access to policies about vacations. And then financial reporting in 9 days. It was 12 days. We actually reduced the effort down to 9 days. The duration stayed the same. We couldn't reduce the duration because of various deadlines, and it just takes too long to get information from clients. But these are specific goals. Again, anything to do with technology, anything to do with AI, start with the reason. So my question to you is, what is your business priority? What is your reason? Why do you want to use AI, or what do you want to achieve with your practice? I heard some other folks saying earlier it's CPE hours. That's a goal. That's okay, because being clear on what you want to achieve is absolutely key to when you start working with the AI. It could be growing revenue, it could be saving time. Does anyone have a business goal, strategic target that they want to share, give an example of? Like I said, it could be saving time, increasing revenue. Anyone have any? Has anyone set goals for their teams and their companies? Maybe it's get your filers to submit on time.
Working smarter is something.
Okay.
Yeah, and how to achieve that is the question.
Right. Yeah. So when you say working smarter, that presumably means to reduce time spent on certain tasks.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly.
And, provide information to clients on a quick, faster, and more efficient basis.
Okay, yeah. So the comment there from the audience was around working smarter, being more efficient. How do we get to the result quicker? So then presumably we can free up time to spend on more strategic work, more customer relationships, building business, doing more, studying the next tax policy that's coming out as well, doing the research there at the same time. So again, this is the first section, the R. Think about the reason. It applies to any technology. I see too many companies jump into technology too quickly. They waste a lot of time and money. Always think about the reason about why you want to do it first. So then we get into accelerate. Oh, why did that pop up? Okay, we're going to talk about accelerate, talk about technology not working properly. This should say accelerate only. You've got a preview of the next one as well. So anyway, accelerate productivity is the next one. And this is where we talk about how AI can really help. So I'm going to bring up a few here. So these are examples of how AI can help. It can automate routine work, innovation, writing partner, organized data. I'll bring the others up and you can just have a quick glance over that. And again, you're probably thinking, great, John, this is great. We can see all these things we want to achieve with technology, but I've still got a day job. I'm still busy. I still can't get to everything per day. And you'd be right. So let's zoom in a bit. Let's understand how this actually works in practice. Going back to that reporting flow of the tax reporting, we're going to zoom in. AI for productivity starts at the beginning. This is the best place to start looking at productivity enhancements when you're collecting data, doing look backs on your previous returns and preparing, and then also bringing up the work papers. So here's some example tools. So if nothing else, folks, you're coming out of today with awareness. You're coming out with awareness that there are some AI tools to increase productivity, including Tax GPT. There's also compliance AI. It's a great one for searching regulatory advice. It searches all the regulatory papers, boils them down to key bullet points, so you don't have to search for them. That's where it saves time. It's a paid service, but it's awesome because that's what AI is good at. Remember data, patterns, and predictions? AI is very good at taking a lot of data and boiling it down to the key points. Vic AI as well. If anyone's working with invoices, anyone has a larger practice where we're dealing with a lot of customer invoices, that can do the automated processing of invoices for you. To a point, you wouldn't want to put every invoice through. And you're also going to have to work with your clients to say, can you file your invoices send me your invoices in a certain way? You can't just send me the paper invoices and emails. This has to be filed through the portal. The result is they get paid quicker, you get your revenue quicker. But again, you've got to have the reason. What is the reason? We want to reduce time. We want to increase revenue. Think about that before you jump into the tools. By all means, look at tools, but don't do it without the reason. Let me just check my notes, because this is such a huge topic. I want to make sure I cover everything clearly here as well. So, oh, and the Power BI up in the top left there as well, or top right, your top right. Hugely beneficial. I love Power BI. It's not truly AI yet, but it's getting there. If anyone's used ChatGPT, the Copilot, Bing from Microsoft is very, very powerful as well. It's different, but that's being tied heavily into Power BI, the Power Suite. So anyone who uses Excel can use Power BI to create amazing reports. That's one of the first things I do. Very simple, because Excel won't go away. Everyone thinks, okay, suddenly Excel's gone. It's not. It really isn't. But the front end to Excel may change. The tools on top of Excel will change, and that's where things like Power BI come in. If you've not used that, it's an amazing tool. Has anyone use Power BI? A few folks at the back there. Yep. Okay. Again, maybe when your team could use Power BI, it's a free tool which we can use to really create amazing dashboards. And that's what we did actually for this example, this case study. I always like to make this real with how I've used this with my clients. So for tax reporting, we had a problem. We had a highly manual process, data quality issues. I'm sure everyone struggled with getting a data quality right, even if it's just filling in the right field, the right form. And the team was burnt out. They weren't taking vacations. That's how busy they were. I'm sure we can all relate to that. So the solution, we streamlined the process. Again, this is really, really important, folks. Please, if nothing else, think about the reason, but then think about when you start with doing anything around technology, fix the process first. If you automate a bad process or apply AI to a bad process, it's still a bad process. So fix the process first. And to do that, get your team involved. We use design thinking. So we had a design thinking session, which effectively is just fancy talk for let's brainstorm how we can fix this process. But it's structured thinking. It's saying, okay, how might we change this? How might we do it differently? And you'll be surprised when you ask your team about how you might do it differently, they'll come up with great ideas because they're the ones in the weeds doing it. Maybe you're the ones in the weeds doing it. And then you apply automation. That's why it's step 3. So as a result, we automated the reporting. We saved 4 hours per week. Again, we saved the time. We had to make sure we reapply that. And then we got the team to take vacations. That was one of our goals. To go back to the reason, we wanted our team to not have to carry forward vacations every month and every year. And we achieved that goal, which we're really, really pleased with. And just, yeah, this was just after the pandemic. So we actually transformed that tax reporting and brought back stronger because, again, pandemic was a problem for many people. So automation, AI, it's very similar. You can't have AI without automation. You can't have automation without AI. So this is a checklist. I'm just going to show this quickly. But take this away. Again, you've got to copy this, folks. I'm going to give you a ton of information today because I always want to make sure you come away with value of things you can take away and look at afterwards, refer back to me, and please reach out if you have any questions. But I'm actually going to dial, oops, where is this going? Go back here. Technology again for you. Let's go back here. I'm going to take this back to here. Because if you do nothing else with automation, know your reason, which we talked about, and then brainstorm with your team. Do that before you get involved in technology. So when you have this amazing vendor come along saying, we're going to save you time, we're going to make sure the process is done in 2 days, great. Let's understand the process first. They can help you with that, but don't jump into the technology solution until you've gone through that. Then automate, then apply the technology, and then start small, see how it's going, and then scale it. Again, always do pilots. Test it out. I was talking with an accountant the other day, and they're actually helping. They run a grocery chain in Western Canada. They're introducing self-serve checkouts for the first time, believe it or not. Their company, their grocery store is built on customer service. The seniors in the area come to the store once a week for the social interaction with the cashiers. So they're only just starting to put in self-serve checkouts because some people want that. So they're doing a pilot. They're just putting it in one of the stores for 2 tills just to see how it works. Perfect. Do the pilot first. Again, with your business, you're thinking about automating the reporting, maybe pick one process or even just one element of the process. For invoices, maybe just pick 10 invoices. Don't do every invoice at the start. Just start small, test it out, see how it works. Okay, so now we talked about accelerate. Unfortunately, in translation, this moved a bit. So you've got people, if anyone can see the people there. There was a bit of a crunch in the translation. Again, technology, hey, you gotta love it. But people, P is for people. And the reason for looking at people is because AI is a bit of a tidal wave. It's coming at us. Can anyone anyone spot the surfer? He's there in the bottom left. And you're probably thinking, hey, this is not a real photo. And you'd be right. This is an AI generated photo. But the point is we can use it to create images and use it for things like this presentation to actually help with my graphics. So I didn't want to have to draw that. I didn't want to have to build it out in PowerPoint. So I just put this into AI, into the tool. It took a couple of iterations, but it came up with this pretty quickly, and it's very realistic. It's a good photo. The point is that I've used this for an analogy. So you're on the beach and this tidal wave is coming towards you. Some people are going to grab their surfboards and go for it. Some people are going to put their head in the sand or run away. And some people are going to go, I don't know what to do here. Do I run this way, that way, or whatever? The point is, with new technology, there's generally about 20% of people or any change, will love it. 20% of people can't get enough of it. I want more. Let's get into this. 20% will hate it. Don't want to change, want to keep it the same way. Remember that 3.5-day work week I talked about earlier? One of the team says, I do 40 hours a week, that's it. Don't want to change, never will. And she's very good at her job, so we'll keep her doing that element of her work. But she was like, no technology, no nothing. And then 60%, so we talked about 20 loving it, 20 hating it, 60% are on the fence. Generally speaking, with anything new, specifically technology, 60% were like, what do we do here? I don't know. And that's where you've got to work with those people. Pick the people who love it in your team and use them to build out the technology, to look at new things. And they'll bring along the other 60%. Because change is difficult. Has anyone seen this change curve before? It's pretty common. It's actually based on science. It's a graphical, high-level view of science, of the biology of brain reactivity to change. But you'll notice how performance on the top, on the side there, will dip. Because when you have a new idea at the beginning, the idea then transforms. Have we got a laser on this thing? Oh, is it? Okay, it's not going to blind anyone. Okay, no, okay, good. No, okay. So from an idea comes along, and they go through resistance, they go through chaos in their mind, and then they get to transforming, okay, this could be an idea. And that's when productivity and performance starts to get better. They start to integrate with the idea and then get to the new status quo on the far right there. And that time will vary for everyone. If you think about moving house, moving city, even just a new school for your kids, how quickly do you process that? Some people take a while, some people do it in seconds and minutes. Everyone's a bit different. And so think about that with your teams when you're doing something new. Maybe there's a new tax regulation coming in, or there's a new client coming in, or a new way of doing something. Some of your team will embrace it, jump on it, let's go. Some will go, okay, I need to process here. Understand that, recognize it, help them through it. Because it's difficult to change that with people. And that's why I have P, the people in the rapid of AI, is very, very important. Because technology is throwing a lot at people. I mean, even places like Home Depot introduced Zebra, which is a tool, an AI tool to help with shrinkage. So they were losing a lot of stock. As you can imagine, the Home Depot has a lot of stock going missing. Some of it from staff, unfortunately. But what it did is said, okay, let's work with the staff to actually track where stock is, help them in terms of inventory management, and it started to get that shrinkage down. But that was a big change for a lot of, I think it was about 120,000 people. So they picked 50 users. Remember we talked about the pilot earlier? When you start new technology, start small, 50 users. It took 6 months to prepare them for the launch. This wasn't a let's do it next week. I know, again, I get really frustrated with vendors who come along and say, hey, we can implement your new financial reporting over the weekend. It's not going to happen. Yes, maybe the new system will be up and running in a weekend, but it won't be fully implemented in a weekend. It just doesn't happen that way. The people, and also how long you have to go through that change management. So the weekly meetings, they did weekly meetings all through that 6 months to introduce to what's new, what's changing, what's coming. Again, this is why I want to make sure this point is really clear, because change is difficult. I often hear my clients, I just want to read these out, because when I've been doing these workshops, some of the quotes I get from people I've said, when I say, hey, let's talk about AI. So for example, I'm cautiously optimistic, but it's not quite there yet. It's an interesting idea, but what about the errors? My bosses and my clients have concerns, and AI isn't ready for prime time. Valid. Every one of those statements is true. It is a new technology. It's coming at us really fast. ChatGPT has only been around a year, 1 year. And we're now in that 1 year coming in now. So that's why it's exploded into the scene. Now we're becoming more used to it. But it's going to take time to really get embedded. I'm seeing a question from the audience online.
Yes, this is a comment. It's from a little ways back, so apologies to the question asker. So I'll read a slightly abbreviated version of it. Hey, John, we just came off a horrific tax season. One pattern became apparent, much time spent trying to get definitive answers from searching regulatory guidance from state agency. The pattern is this: writers of guidance seem adept at plagiarism, importing definitions in, but quite poor at logic and clarity. Thus, we spend a lot of time searching and not finding definitive answers. As some examples, this user gives states' rollout of capital gains tax, rollout of ERC rules, and so forth.
Okay, sorry, I missed the question. Sorry.
Right. I think this is a comment about the sort of going back to your questions about patterns people are noticing. And this is a pattern that was noticed, and perhaps this is about what could AI do to help with this.
Yes, okay, perfect. So yeah, a great use case of using AI to search through a lot of information very, very quickly. So when you think about ChatGPT and the generative AI, it's very good at summarizing a lot of data. So you can actually paste documents into ChatGPT and say, give me the 5 bullet points of this document. I've actually, for a bit of a joke, I said, can you make a rap song about IFRS 17, if anyone's dealt with IFRS 17. And it was actually very good. I mean, seconds. I mean, if anyone's trying it, just say, ChatGPT, create a rap song about, pick a regulation. Seconds, it's coming up with a rap song. It's amazing, which, hey, do we need that in our day-to-day work? Probably not. But it's good for team building. If you have a team building event, you can use it with your team and just have a bit of fun. But doing that starts to get used to AI and how it can work. It shows you the power of AI. So yes, summarizing large amounts of documents and detail into a specific bullet points is one of the great use cases for that. Searching for keywords is very, it's like Google on steroids. That's what it's like. So with any technology, treat it as your coworker. A lot of people think technology, AI, is this separate weird beast that we have to manage and just work with, and it's, quite frankly, it's very fickle, doesn't work well all the time, and when it works, it's great, but doesn't always show up. Think of technology and AI differently. Think of it as a coworker. How would you treat a new joiner, a new person on your team? You go through onboarding, you go through training, you go through performance management, you go through check-ins, you'd introduce it to your team. Do that with technology. Just treat it like a coworker, because if you spend the time and effort we spend with each other on technology, it'll do a better job for us. Again, one of the key insights around how I shift my head around dealing with technology and then help my clients translate and implement it better. So in summary, embrace it. Learn about it. There's so many resources. Even if it's just once a week, 5 minutes, just take a browse of some of the AI news, take a look on YouTube. There's so much learning out there. It's very easy. Remember that 20%, the surfers, the ones who want to embrace new things. Use that on your team. If you don't want to do it, that's okay, that's fine. But find someone on your team who does. Get them to research it. One of my, I was talking yesterday with a group of CPAs. They get the summer students to come in and say, look at AI for our business. What can we do? And they loved it, couldn't get enough of it, because the partner was like, I don't have time for this. I can't be doing with it. So find the people who love it most. And then do weekly AI meetups. Maybe join a group. If your team's really embracing it, meet every week. Talk about how AI can work in your business. See what ideas you can share and build out. Just on the people, I just want to make sure we cover this topic clearly, because AI for hiring is one of the most powerful ways and quick ways we can accelerate getting people on board, because I know finding people is tough. So how hiring is the whole end-to-end life cycle. So I use ChatGPT and Copilot Bing for questions. I'll say, what interview questions should I ask a tax accountant about this particular role? I'll then have the Otter AI, which is another software, to listen to the interview. I let the candidates know it's being recorded. It listens to the interview, creates notes, so I don't have to take notes. Plus, if I'm ever sharing the information with one of my co-workers to say, hey, I think we should go ahead with this person, here are the key points, they're already written. I review them, but they're already written. And then we can do an onboarding deck as well. I've worked with a client to create an onboarding deck. They look at all the information of our business. The AI will then summarize that into a quick state of the company, create an onboarding pack for our new starter, and it starts to build up the information. Searches the industry as well. Sometimes they're not good on, they're tax experts, but they've moved industry. So again, it helps them with the onboarding process. Anything that can write documents for you. This is a bit more detail of how I used it. So these are the questions, these are the prompts that I put into Copilot. You can put them into ChatGPT as well, but you'll notice in blue, I'm giving context. I'm not just saying write questions for an interview. I'm saying for this tax accountant job description, list, and if anyone eagle-eyed, you'll notice I say please, because when the AI overlords take over the world, I'm the one who's being polite and they'll perhaps not kill me. So I always like to say please. So please list the interview questions for analytical capability. Then I list out what I'm looking for. It's a longer list. I couldn't put it all on the screen. And then it came back with some of the questions. And then I got a good resume, so from Jane, and I put that into ChatGPT and say, give me some questions of her resume to validate her experience. Again, I'll still add to it, but it just takes that time away from me. It saves me time. So that's another key use of people. I love it. I love using ChatGPT and the AI for saving small amounts of admin time. I always like to leave you with a checklist. This is a lot to read. I don't expect you to read it now. We'll make sure you get a copy of this deck. Take a look at it. This just helps in terms of, okay, if you're thinking about taking AI to the next level, here's some questions to work through in terms of the operating model for your business, the talent, skills, and then the cultural change. So this is part of a bigger framework I use for when I'm implementing AI or technology for clients like you, and I work them through this process. And again, I want to give this to you. Again, my job is to help you do this for yourselves. Like, I'm an expert. Please reach out for questions, but take it yourself and start doing it as well. So that's people. So we talked about the people productivity. Maybe it's the same thing, people and productivity. Anyway, talk about increasing revenue. Let's get into this, because we talked about productivity. Now the other flight, how are we going to grow revenue for our business? How are we going to increase the revenue and make sure we ultimately increase profit? So here's some stats. Here's some more information around. These are AI leaders, high performers. So the bottom there, the 27%, the 30%, these are actually using AI to grow revenue, to increase how we work, how we bring in money to the companies. And in summary, when you're a leader, when you're doing it really, really well, and again, please don't take this as we can do this tomorrow. This takes time, effort. These are tech companies who are doing it really, really well, but they're getting 20% of EBIT for using AI in the right way. What's the point? Why would I show this to you? Because this is what's possible. Whether you do it or not tomorrow is another matter, but just know it's possible. So when you're thinking about, okay, what do we need to do to increase revenue, save time? This is some of the leading edge. Let's aim for just 5%, 2%. Let's aim for something. Again, back to that reason. So when you think about revenue, where do you think? You think about how you want to, at the back end, this is when you're interacting with your clients, your customers. It's all about making the value add. We crunch the numbers brilliantly. We file the taxes brilliantly. We understand the regulations. But what else can we do? What other value can we add? So here's, again, some example tools. The one I'm going to pick on is Cogito in the middle there. Again, this is maybe a little bit abstract, but what it does is it listens to conversations. So if I'm having a conversation with one of my clients, Cogito is doing a real-time analysis of what I'm saying and saying, hey, you're going a bit fast. You're not being as emotional as you were last time. You're not asking the right questions. It's actually giving you real-time feedback. I actually don't always agree with it, but it's giving me prompts because I'm getting too wrapped up in maybe the detail, and it's starting to give me real-time feedback around slow down here, or you missed that question that the customer asked. It's helping me with prompts. And then it's giving me a transcription at the end, a summary, which I can then send to my client to say, here's the actions coming out of this meeting. It's all done for me. I review it, but it's all done for me. Scribe is great. Again, it creates the standard operating procedures. Who doesn't love standard operating procedures? It's the bane of my life. But this is where the AI works really well. It can create that documents much, much quicker than we can. It gives us a baseline. If you want an ethics policy for your company, ChatGPT, please create an ethics policy for a mid-sized tax accounting firm in Linwood. It'll do that, and then we can go through then we can refine it. Again, takes that time away from us that we don't have to worry about. Another checklist. Who doesn't love a checklist? I don't expect you to read it all, but please take this away. Again, if you're thinking of engaging an AI vendor or even just a technology vendor, here are some of the questions you should ask. Use this as how do we make sure we're engaging the right vendor? Because there's a lot of vendors out there. There's a lot of scammers out there, if I'm honest. There's a lot of people proposing that they have these AI tools. When you go to the website, it's a wait list. They haven't even got a product to sell yet. So use this to actually validate that they're real and can add real value to your company. So that was increased revenue. So now the final part, we're going to talk about data. Because remember, right at the beginning, we talked about how ChatGPT and AI is based on data. It's pre-trained on data. ChatGPT was trained on internet data, about 45 terabytes. If you don't know how much 45 terabytes is, it's a lot. It's basically, if you imagine it in bookshelves, it's about 1 million miles of bookshelves of data. It's huge. But bear in mind, it is internet data. So imagine, we know what's in the internet. It's not always the greatest data. So that's why we need to be careful of what it actually comes back with. So data, I'm going to come back to that process flow, data collection. How you collect data, how you use that data is absolutely key, because garbage in, garbage out. With AI, garbage in, exponential garbage out. AI doesn't slow down, doesn't stop. It comes at you continuously and will never give up. So you have to put in really good data to get really good information out. So as we know, it needs good data. So I'm going to pause here as well, because this is where I also get a lot of questions around AI because of the bias, the volume, the accuracy, hallucinations. If anyone's heard hallucination as a term, yeah. So what it is, it's effect because it's spotting patterns, right? Remember at the beginning, it's data, patterns, predictions. Hallucinations are patterns which it may have not accurately represented. So it's coming up with answers that aren't quite right. That's why you have the little thumbs up and thumbs down on ChatGPT, because when you click thumbs down for a bad answer, you're helping train ChatGPT. That's why it's free. That's why they love people using it, because you're actually helping train the model, which is a good thing. It's actually making it better. But you have to be careful, because when you put in a ChatGPT related chatbot into your business, so we did it for a call center, for an HR, we did it on the HR policies. Some people were saying, well, that's a crappy answer. And it was taking crappy answer as an answer to give to other people. So you have to monitor, you have to check to make sure that the AI is not taking literal statements and then feeding it back to a result. Yeah, go for it. Great question. So the question was, I'm assuming you talk about ChatGPT, but I would say any online AI tool, does it take a record of our questions and is selling it to the data to marketing? It says not, but I would assume it does. So anything you put on the internet is on the internet. And especially anything that's free, they're going to get their money somewhere. So just assume that it does. I still use ChatGPT. I love it. I still use Copilot. What I don't do is I don't put anything confidential in. I don't put anything personal in there. You'll notice in my questions earlier about the interview, give me some questions around a tax accountant. For Jane's resume, I didn't put her personal details in there. I took out anything that could be attributed to Jane. So again, I'm just being careful to make sure that nothing can be attributed back to a person, a company, because yes, who knows where it's going to go. There is a private mode in ChatGPT. There is a toggle. You can say, do not store my data. So you can, then in theory, it should take that data and delete it. Again, if I'm honest, I don't quite trust that, because there's been examples of people who do get rid of data, but they haven't really. So just be careful at the end of the day. That's why it's the making sure the accountability at the end there, you're still accountable for the answer. You can't take ChatGPT's answer and say, that's what it told me. That's the answer. Any other questions around using ChatGPT, AI, bias, hallucinations? Yeah, go for it. It's a ChatGPT for tax, which I know sounds obvious, but it's basically searching tax regulations. So you can I think there's a free preview. You can go in and actually just search on regulations questions and get tax responses based on different states and provinces in Canada. So, and they have two. There's a Canadian version, there's a US version, but it just focuses purely on tax-related questions. So try it out. It's actually pretty. I've seen the financial statement one and the MD&A version, and it's really good for searching companies and coming back with information around companies. So, yeah, for sure.
Why is all this free? What are they? I mean, are they gathering data and increasing it locally free? And are they experimenting with it and see how accurate it is? Because it just seems too good to be true.
Yeah. Again, great question there. Why is it free? Like most things on the internet, it can't be free forever. They have to get their revenue. So there's a pay. So okay, let's take ChatGPT. There's a paid version that actually has some more features. So they're using the free one to. It's like drugs and crack. You know, get you on the drugs and then bring you up to the bigger, more addictive drugs later on. So you get the free version, get used to it, and then you go to the paid version, which has more features and more benefits. And it is pretty good. It's $20 a month, and it is worth doing. But to your point around the free one, we're training that ChatGPT to give better answers, because the more questions we ask, the more data it gets, the more it understands how human asks questions. It's reading the patterns, it's seeing the answers. That's all we're training it on their behalf. That's why they released it. That's why they want it out in the public, and that's why they want people using it. So they're benefiting from us using it. Oh, sorry, question there.
Are there certain queries or requests that you can GPT to make it more reliable?
Yeah, so the question was, are there better questions to get a more reliable, more accurate answer? Yes, again, structuring your question in the best way. So give it context. As a tax accountant in Linwood in this industry, I would like to know about the 5 regulations impacting the forestry industry. So give it context, who you are, the industry, location, size of firm, the client you're working with. The more context you give, the more accurate the answer is going to be. But then you might still say, okay, that's not right. I've never used the first answer out of ChatGPT. It's the first answer. Okay, dig deeper on that second bullet point, expand on the third point, make the tone more relaxed, more formal. 4 or 5 iterations out of a response, but the more context, the better. Okay. I've got 2 questions. I'm really conscious of time here, folks, as well. So I've got a couple more slides, but let's just quickly go for the question there. Yes.
I use Google a lot. And it seems to me that Google is incorporating AI into their models. They're going to be continuing doing so. So I'm just not really sure what the value is.
Yeah, and it's still early days. You're right. Be cynical. But use that to try it out, because what it's very, very good at is summarizing a lot of information. So yes, you might use Google to come back with some references. So then you can use the AI to actually come back with, give me the 5 or 6 bullet points. It'll actually frame it in a document for you, and then you can put it into a report, and then you can use that to then edit and create from there. Okay. Yeah, just conscious of time, but yeah, let's go for the online question.
Any suggestions for using AI to find CPAs to hire / respond to ads for employment? So you talked about the hiring process, but for actually going out and looking at on the web for this.
Yeah, so if I heard the question correctly, is around responding to ads. So yes, and just the other day I had someone basically take the job description and said, write me a resume that would make sure I get this job. So we got the resume. We didn't know this, but we got we found out afterwards. We got the resume. It was amazing. It was so aligned to the job description. We're like, this is the hire we want. Got them on the call. Had a Zoom call. They were sat back like this from the camera, and we couldn't quite see their hands, but just the responses were very, very, I'd say, bland, a bit generic. And so we think they were blatantly just typing in the questions we were asking into ChatGPT and repeating them back, which was a real shame, because they, as a person, they probably could have got the job if they'd just been a bit human and we could have worked with them, but it was just a complete no. So in terms of, it can be used for good, it can also be used for bad as well, but use it as the tool. I know we're running out of time, folks, so leave you with a couple of things. So a data checklist. If we start getting into the weeds around data, there's another checklist. Always want to give you checklists. This was a case study. We don't have time to get into this now. Again, it's in your deck, and you can take a look at this. I'm actually going to jump to another slide here. So I don't.
Yeah, we're doing that, like now. Yeah, you gotta just step up. Like,
Yeah, I know. Real quick. So just to wrap up. So these are some of the common questions I get. I know it's a lot. I know it's a lot of overwhelm, a lot of choices. If you have any questions, just grab me. I'll be down the front here. If you need to run off, I've also got a card you can take as well. And I'll leave you with this thought. Artificial intelligence is not about technology. It's not about zeros and ones. It's about amplifying your impact so you can lead your people and make real connections with other people in your team. Okay, thank you very much.